Hello and welcome. The boys and I are back with another delicious episode for you of We Like Movies. My name is Juan, here with Marc and Kevin, and tonight we are gathered to discuss a film selected by Mr. Kevin. It is called RRR. I think it's called R. Is it called RRR? Is it
Nope,
Yes.
it's called
Is it Roar Revolt? Rise Revolt Roar?
Nope.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Stick with that the rest of the time, please.
Um,
I'm right there with you, bud.
this I'm excited to jump in and talk about this, to give you all a quick synopsis if you've never heard of it is okay. First question, right off the bat,
Oh, this is good.
what is Tollywood?
Awesome. Tollywood, I have that on my notes. Tollywood refers to South Indian movie industry as opposed to just the mainstream Bollywood, which is the movie industry in India. But if it's made in the in the southern part of India, it is Tollywood. And Tollywood has been apparently on the rise, and some people feel like it's overtaken Bollywood as like the premier Indian movie making area.
Oof, we've just added a layer of drama.
Yeah,
I love it.
thank you, Kevin, for that level of preparation.
That delicious tidbit.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a Tollywood movie out of the southern part of India. It is a film about two men who are from two very different places, and life is has taken them on two very different paths, but they are now fate is bringing them together. One of them is on a crusade to rescue a girl that's been abducted from his village. The other one, we don't know this until later, but he's on a path also of revenge and also of revolution, right? He's trying to lead really a revolution against the colonizers in India from the British Empire. Anyway, these two men know nothing about each other, but then again, fate brings them together in Delhi, where they become really good friends, not knowing that they are actually one is actually kind of hunting the other. It's a lot. It's a lot to unpack and to go through because it's a 3-hour epic film. But yeah, so then beyond that point, it's a matter of, will they discover that one is that is the one that the other one is looking for, and what will happen then. So okay, that's the best I can do. If you guys want to do any better than that, go for it. If not, Kevin, this was your pick.
Yeah, he's going up first.
And yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on RRR.
That's one. First, that's better. Like the girls, when I told them I was going to watch RRR, they said, "Oh, is that Roger Rabbit's Revenge?" I'm like, "No," and that's all they've been calling it for the past 2 days. Roger Rabbit's Revenge.
Damn, I don't know what's better, or Roger Rabbit's Revenge.
Yeah.
It also makes me think of what like the sound a seal makes, which is like.
But,
it's so good.
But all right, I want to start off. Here we go. First of all, I did not know this movie was 3 hours long when I picked it until Juan said it's 3 hours long. I was like, oh dang. And it did seem a little daunting just to start. But with that said, here it goes. There are events in your life that you think you are prepared for, but you really are not. This movie was one of those events for me. You could have told me every aspect about this movie, but what was presented would have destroyed all those preconceived ideas. The movie was a bit of everything. Started off as a pure adrenaline pumping action movie. Somehow, without me realizing it, it morphs into a buddy comedy. Then it became a cat and mouse type movie. Then a drama about betrayal, while becoming an action movie again, and then a redemption story with a whole 20-minute flashback scene. And finally, it just devolved into like this superhero movie with historical characters, and all of it worked. Like every aspect of it worked. I was never like, what? Like they created this world and I was in it. It reminded me of a ton of different movies at times, but it never felt like a parody. It just felt like, I'm like, oh, this reminds me of this, but it never felt like it was like making fun or like dropping its its level. It felt more like the filmmakers have watched and loved cinema and had an absolute blast making this movie. And not every movie needs a PhD to be enjoyed. Some movies are just meant to be like what this movie is. This movie was just fun. Escapism filmmaking at its purest. I was done with it, and I called the girls up. I'm like, girls, we about to watch this 3-hour movie. I'm about to watch it again. Let's go. They're like, what?
He woke them up at 4 a.m.
Well, I finished at 10, and I was like, girls, y'all want to stay up to 1? Let's do this.
Because it finished at 4 a.m.
We would have been done, but I was like, girls, y'all, because I didn't let them initially see it because it's TVMA.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if it'd have like any nudity or whatever, but it's an Indian film, so what I'm guessing much.
For the blood, I guess.
Yeah, you know, for the violence. Oh man, yeah. Come on, that mom took a hit to the head. And she still lived at the end.
Gangster.
But I was like, yeah, y'all could watch this. But that was my take. It was escapism filmmaking at its purest, and it was just fun to watch. So, who wants to go next?
Juan, you want to go?
Yeah, man. I will start off with a heartfelt apology to Kevin because I certainly was complaining and frustrated when he was forcing us to watch a 3-hour Bollywood movie. At the time, I thought it was Bollywood. Turns out it was Tollywood. But, dude, I honestly, I don't remember the last time I had this much fun, like watching a movie. Like it made me feel like a kid. It was excellent on every level. That it would have been so easy for them to try to tell this epic story that was about revenge. It was about revolution, about friendship, and to have sacrificed character development, and yet this never did. It gave us so much depth. The characters were like so rich. You completely understood what their motivation was for their actions, and it was compelling. That, like Kevin said, I mean, the action was incredible. Even when it was over the top, it didn't matter. It was just, it was such an epic. It was funny. It was yeah, man. I just thought it was an awesome roller coaster. And even after 3 hours, dude, I was like, I don't want it to end. Like I just wanted to like keep on going. It was so much fun. I can't wait to watch it again. And I'm so glad, that my eyes were opened to this, because dude, it was amazing. I loved it. And the other thing I was gonna say was I can't remember. But yeah. But yeah, no, that was my quick take on it. I was gonna say that this might be Kevin's.
It's not quick anymore.
He might be joining the club with Marc of picking a movie that's all threes, man. I wouldn't be surprised. Not saying I know where you're going, Marc, but I think this might be Kevin's Hall of Famer here. We'll see.
I don't. I wish you didn't say that, man. I feel like I'm going to disappoint you now.
You're going to disappoint Kevin, probably, not me.
No,
I still watch it.
I'm kidding. I wasn't as enthused as you guys are, but I kind of just had like a one sentence note. Just buckle up, bring a 6-course meal for Hawkeye's origin story, baby. That's all I had. That's all I had. But since you guys kind of already given more, I guess I'll take over and start giving more. Um, I didn't hate it at all. I do feel like it was too long. I think this could have been 2.5 hours easily. But I think you guys enjoyed the parts that I didn't like, which was the dancing and the singing. Like, it was cool and fun, but it was just so long, and I just felt like, man, this is here you go. Here's 15 minutes you could have shaved off the movie. Um, so that's kind of a minor gripe. The story kind of was tuned out for me. I actually did have a 6-course meal. This movie was so long, I made sure I packed meals for the ride, and I was loaded up. So on the times that they were talking, I was kind of just rummaging rummaging through my snacks, getting ready for when I heard more music. And when the music popped up, I kind of looked. I'm not saying I wasn't paying attention. I was paying attention, obviously. I just, this story was just whatever for me. But I'm gonna be honest, this was my first, and I know it's a Tollywood, but I'm gonna say it's my first Bollywood movie, and it's just never something that I would feel would be my cup of tea, and it should, because I'm an action guy. I'm a mindless action guy. Like, I like movies that are just dumb, and this really fits that bill. But I guess the whole singing, and there was a lot of scenes that were just drawn out. I lose attention very quickly, and if it's not interesting, it's like whatever. So I think that's just kind of what killed it for me, was the length. If it wasn't so long, this probably, yeah, would have been one of those movies that I'm like, yo, you gotta watch this. And I think that's the length really is the biggest reason why I probably wouldn't go around recommending this more to people. But I didn't hate it. I really didn't. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I had fun, throughout, and there were a lot of scenes that were memorable for me.
Yeah, I would just say, yeah, even just as far as the singing, again, I also, uh, I mean, if you can count Slumdog Millionaire, which is like, Danny Boyle's take on a Bollywood film. Apart from that, I don't think I've watched any either. But I
Right.
know enough, like I've seen
Yeah.
YouTube clips and stuff, that I just knew singing is a part of it. It's part of their culture, and so, um, of course, we wouldn't watch an American movie and, that all of a sudden in the middle of it, Tom Cruise just starts dancing and singing. We'd bust out laughing and think it's the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Yeah.
But, because I knew
Definitely
that
fits the bill, right?
this is their culture,
But
this is what they do in films. Like, I actually, like, really, I going into it, I was like, oh gosh, how many dancing scenes are there gonna be? Like, and there actually weren't that many, but
No.
I actually, like, really enjoyed them, and
Yeah,
they,
you know what?
they
I hate to do this, but to pause you,
yeah,
and what you're saying, I agree with, because I think they worked with the movie. They
yeah,
didn't feel like they didn't belong.
yeah, and it also just, like, I really appreciate it because I also felt like it revealed more to me, like, about their culture, which is just like, or at least this film, even with or like, the torture scene was really violent too, and, like,
Yeah.
difficult to watch. But it still, like, made it like, man, this is such a, like, a celebration of life, and how even in those moments, like, there was, beauty in seeing how, the best friend, who was the one having to torture his best friend, was, like, still maybe, like, trying to help him, and it was, like, so caught, with, like, his goals, and yet now he was so torn with this friendship and having to do this horrible thing. But it's kind of also the moment that turned, really his life around and his purpose. And at times it was like all these moments that are, and all these circumstances, and the music, I felt, was like, okay, so my I'll let Kevin speak, but, one of the things I definitely wanted to get to about this movie was, at some point, and it was during, there's this montage where it's showing their, they don't know who each other is yet, so it's showing like their friendship, but also like their
Yeah.
rivalry. And bro, that I bet you could go and watch a Disney movie that has a musical montage like that. Like I kept thinking of Mulan, um, and I bet you could find something that would be so similar, even shot for shot. Like I really think they watched a bunch of Disney movies and just made them into
Mimicked it.
like the best live action, like put them all together first of all, and like did it so well live action, because it worked. It for me, like it all worked, and that's really how I felt. Like I'm just watching a live action Aladdin or something, but so much better than the actual live action Aladdin. Like it was really well done.
But
um
the real quick, the note I wrote here, like the iconography was
mhm,
off the charts. Like just the images that we're putting up there, like I
mhm.
said, and not just like the bloody images and all those epic images, but during those friendship scenes, and even when they were getting ready to start like that dance, which I know Mark didn't like, but even the beginning of that dance part, it just felt like it was going to be epic. When they were just looking, they're like, "Hold on," and he gets on the drums, like, okay, like they were just putting images up that were just like burning into my mind. I was like, "Whoa, like what are
Yeah,
we watching here?"
yeah.
Yo, you had to throw shade at me, bro. You could have got your
I'm saying,
point across. You
all
could
right,
have got
it
your
might have
point
been
across.
Uncle.
But no, I mean you brought iconography, so I got to bring my word that I was planning to use, for
Come on, man. I didn't bring one.
back from my film
Like,
class
I got a lot of
days,
words for it.
which was because I'm surprised I haven't used this yet, but also excellent use of motifs, with the fire and the water in particular, um, not just as gimmicks, but even like in that one battle scene, in the forest with the bow and arrow that was like straight out of Mel Gibson and The Patriot. But like the guy was like almost literally on fire, and then the other one's like in the water. Like it was awesome. And then even just starting out the movie, man, like that opening scene, talk about setting the tone, where this guy just goes against one against a mob of hundreds of people, and he's just relentless. And I loved how, like, because I at towards probably like, like somewhere in hour one, I I thought back to that scene and I was like, man, are they ever gonna explain, like, more about this guy, or like why he is so driven, and because you really like him before you find out what he's all about. You kind of, there's things you don't understand about him, but for me, like, I really liked him, especially when they first became friends. But at one point, I was like, man, I want to know more about him. Like, what was that first scene all about? And then when they finally go back and like show you, like his background and what's happened in his life, then like, and then you can connect that, he needed to do that in order to be able to be noticed and to advance, his military career, to be able to like reach his goals. So he had to do something crazy, like go to arrest this guy in the middle of a mob of people that are just like fighting him back. And again, it was all about that moment with his father. Like, dude, it was insane, like ridiculous, awesome storytelling that I just enjoyed it so much.
I think one aspect that I really think like they nailed, and here's my other big word I'm probably gonna mispronounce. Um, deuteragonist. I can't say it. Like when there's two protagonists, Deuteronomy. It's like deuteragonist. I
You
looked it up. I was like, I can't pronounce this word, but it's
Whoa,
like
whoa, you think there was two protagonists?
well, they are. They're
Yeah.
Ram and Beam. They're both like the main characters. That's why in the beginning part it's
No.
more Beam. That second half when he was captured and they're just focusing on Ram, and then Ram had like a 20-minute flashback scene. That's what the father scene and all that happens, and then it's building up him, and then they bring them both together again. Like I thought that was so well done. Apparently, Mark
No,
disagrees.
man. No, bro. He's literally he's Hawkeye, bro. He is a soldier for the government.
Okay.
He is there to infiltrate. He is a mole. That's
Yeah,
exactly what he is. That's what I took away from it. No,
yeah.
I'm
It
kidding.
reminded me of Infernal
messing
Affairs and The Departed. But
I've,
like, if he was Hawkeye, then the other guy was Captain America.
with you.
I never seen Hawkeye. But so you're talking about, Mark, from your point of view, Ram is the protagonist?
No, I thought Beam was, and I thought it was
Okay.
always Beam.
Okay. Yeah, a couple. I mean, if I do have to knock a few things, for me, one of them is, the CGI at times, is not good. And I think Mark commented on this on a previous podcast where he said, at this point we're just so spoiled that whenever we see, CGI that's not Marvel quality, we're gonna diss it. But so that would be one thing. It didn't bother me, but it was like, it just sticks out. You just notice that you're like, oh, there's the CGI that's quite not up to par, although very, very good, for their industry. So not a huge knock there. There was somewhere in the middle, I don't remember quite the exact scenes where the transitions really annoyed me. A fade to black. If it's not the closing scene,
Yeah.
I hate a fade to black. Especially, I mean, look at Quentin Tarantino or someone, like how creative he is with his transitions. Like, it's almost like they were tired or they couldn't think of one, so it's like, let's just fade. So that annoys me every
I
time I see it.
think it
No,
felt like
yeah.
it should have been an intermission when it faded to black. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are really the only two things that I would say. And I was also very surprised that I actually recognized an actor in this film from another movie.
Are
And
you talking about the white guy?
yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, everyone recognizes him, bro. He was
Oh,
Punisher, man.
he was Punisher.
Wait,
Yeah.
are we talking about race? He might be talking about a different white guy.
Yeah, Ray Stevenson.
That
Talking about the governor,
What do you mean? What Punisher?
Punisher and Punisher Warzone, the movies that were made a while ago.
Yeah, he played the Punisher. Like Marvel Punisher?
I thought that was the guy from Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street.
What?
Yeah, the
Leonardo DiCaprio.
no,
or
man,
or the chubby guy.
no, his friend that gets thrown in jail when he goes to make the deal with
Holy smokes, that's really deep
no,
there.
he's in a bunch of movies. He's also in Sicario. He's in
Well, I'm gonna tell you, buddy, he's not the Punisher.
No, I think he's talking about the other man. What was his name? The first Punisher before Ray Stevenson. Oh, I know who you're talking about now.
Thomas Jane?
Thomas
no,
Jane.
No,
No?
no. John
Okay.
Bernthal. John Bernthal.
Oh, the
Yeah,
TV
bro.
series one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of Punishers. Ray Stevenson played the Punisher
In what? In
in a movie.
Which
Called the
movie?
Punisher
It was
Warzone.
Punisher what?
in a Punisher movie.
They
He
call
played the Punisher in the Punisher.
But you just said there's been a bunch of movies. I'm just saying, like, which one? Because I've never heard of him as the Punisher.
Well, no, there's been a bunch of Punishers and there's been a bunch of Punisher movies. He has played that role once in his career. So he's played in other movies as well.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that was the first one that like popped up. He's been in Marvel too, in Thor.
Thor. Yeah.
So like I
Yeah.
recognize Ray Stevenson. So I was just
Okay.
saying that's probably the one white guy
Yeah.
you recognized.
Okay.
There was almost another actress that was in this movie that you would have recognized.
Who's that?
Oh man, what was her name?
Wasn't it?
Daisy Edgar Jones almost played Jenny, but she dropped out at the last minute.
Oh,
Really?
As we know from Fresh. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Just threw that tidbit in. But go ahead. You were saying you recognize somebody?
No, that was it. Just that I was proud of myself and I was surprised because I was not expecting that.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. So I'm gonna laugh at some things now, some scenes, and let's just kind of talk about that because it's a 3-hour movie, so there's a lot to digest. Can we agree that we all know what the word like for dances and what's the language they're speaking? What's the proper?
I had it in my notes. Let me
Come
look.
on,
It's
notes.
Yeah.
Telugu.
Oh,
Telugu?
that's not
No.
what I thought.
Yeah, no, I thought it was.
Here you go.
I thought it was
Indian
Hindi.
Telugu.
Yeah, but it's Telugu.
Well, do you guys know what the Indian Telugu word for dance is?
Starts with an M, I think.
I don't know, but I thought it was nacho. Nacho.
Oh yeah.
Nacho.
But I have a question, Mark. Speaking of funny things,
Yeah.
so
Funny to you? Am I a clown?
did they like record this in their normal Indian voices and then
Dog. Oh my
re-record
gosh.
the audio over it, like still with their own voices, but just like
So I think that maybe Indian Telugu is for Tollywood, but Bollywood follows a different language. So it was dubbed in the Bollywood, and this is pure speculation because I have no idea. But yes, I felt like what I was hearing and what I was seeing from their mouths were not the same, which was very confusing to me. But so yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but I noticed that.
yeah, it was, I mean, it was obvious when they were speaking their own language and it didn't match up, like obviously. But even when they were like speaking English, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing and hearing the words, but something's off.
Yeah,
But
my
I think there's
skin is
something, yeah,
crawling.
there's something to what you're saying.
Yeah. So to talk about the CGI thing you said, I didn't really give them a knock on that because of the disclaimer they had at the beginning. Everything was CGI, bro. Even all the animals. They
Yeah.
literally said all the animals are CGI. I was like, holy smokes. But that'll segue me into my another funny part. Bro, I absolutely loved him riding a carriage of animals to that party and then just like letting him loose.
Oh, dude, that was epic.
You know what it was hilarious to me, but I also thought it was like so like smart of them. He releases these animals and right after his epic landing in slow motion, bro, he has to start shooing them away because they're just standing around like, all right, what now? He's like, all right, get the hell out of here. Go do something. So like I died laughing, but I was like, dude, that makes sense. Like he's not controlling these animals. He just released them and they're just like, what the hell's going on?
Well, and I thought he was, because he was shooing them away with fire. So I thought first he had to turn them away from like being like, well, we're just going to eat you first. And then we'll eat the rest of these people.
And that's another thing I appreciated. They still had to fight these animals that they brought to the party.
Yeah.
And that led to one of my favorite scenes when Ram freaking fire punched a tiger. I was like, he just fire punched it. He just ran up to him. Blah. I was like, what just happened?
Bro, okay. Do you think there are such great moments? The first is when Ram gets bit by the snake, which was a great move by his brother. I mean, that was awesome.
It was.
Dude, but then Beam starts running and getting the plants and getting the potion, and I'm like, oh, and then he healed them. That was awesome. And then later, when I don't know, he didn't have his legs broken, but he just had them like beaten to a pulp. and then Beam comes to the rescue, and I'm like, oh, he's about to do some healing, bro. He starts running around to get those plants. That was awesome. And then
what I noted about the snake thing?
Yeah.
When he got bit, was that his brother or was that Beam's friend?
No, it's Beam's friend, but they're brother because they're from the same village, like his brother.
So, but one thing I noted was that he said that that the they're not Americans. What did he call them? Anyways, he said
British.
Yeah, he said that there's no British cure. And I noted that, and then here comes Beam making some concoction out of plants and stuff. So I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah, and then I guess we got to talk about. I mean, Kevin mentioned it briefly, but it's the scene in that village right at the beginning, You know, the girl pretty much gets kidnapped, and you know they're gonna shoot this lady. Then the guy does his spiel about not wasting the bullets, and then you see him grab. I mean, this looked like a what is the word I'm thinking of? Like a stick from
A
like the
club.
Flints. Yes,
A club.
it looked like a wooden club, and he starts to swing it. And this is what I was expecting, maybe a fade to black, but no siree, man. I mean,
Clocked right in the
this
temple,
dude,
baby.
this
And
dude followed through. I mean, he hit a home run off of this lady's head, bro.
and right before that, I was noticing how crisp. I'm like, man, they shot this in Ultra 4D, whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
like this that forest looked crisp. And then I saw that shot, and I was like, oh, we're in this. This is that type of movie. Okay.
Dude, the shots of the water toward the final fight scenes, man, I thought I was watching Judge Dredd or Dredd. If you saw the one with the good one.
Carl
Keith Urban?
Urban.
Yeah, with Carl Urban. Did you say Keith Urban?
That's Keith Urban. Oh, funny.
But
Ooh, boy.
the great thing about you know, this type of film from this geographic location, again, like Mark, I just want to say Bollywood. I'm Tollywood is whatever.
No
Just say
offense,
India.
Hollywood. No,
But
no offense.
dude,
No offense.
towards the end, like as the movie was wrapping up, I was excited, bro. I was like, oh, there's about to be a dance scene. You know, they're about to throw down. Did not disappoint. And what made it even better was all of a sudden the director's in.
Yeah.
The director's in there dancing too. I'm like, who is this? That was awesome, man. I'd love to see Christopher Nolan dancing at the.
Steven Spielberg doing a creep walk across the street. Bro, that's officially when it went off the rails for me. That end sequence with the dancing. And the thing is, like, I have a rule, like, I don't shut the movie off until I see credits. There were no credits, so I had to sit through all of that. And I'm like, man, but yo, can I say, what is his name? I need to get his name. Hold on. Ram Charan. He's a beautiful specimen. Every time I'm like, yo, this guy is just beautiful. He is just pretty to look at.
Yeah. I agree.
His hair perfect. I mean, even when it grew long, I'm like, damn, he's got good long hair too. Short hair, long hair.
I'm surprised Kenneth Branagh hasn't casted him in the next freaking Jewel of the Nile or what are those?
That's it. He should have been in Death in the Nile. Shame on Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, and also, I mean, good acting too. You know, I mean, you know, they make me laugh with the little head shake. You know that they do.
Say yes.
He kept doing it, bro. The whole movie, he kept doing the head shake. When he was talking to Jenny the most, I noticed. I guess that was just like a nervous tick for him. But that was pretty fun. Yo, I died when Beam and Ram first met, and Rams does the Wakanda Forever salute, and that immediately tells him, all right, bro, I'm gonna ride on a horse, you're gonna ride on a Jeep or a motorcycle. We're gonna do this or we're gonna flip. I was dying. I'm like, yo, he did one signal and all of a sudden they were just aligned. That's how you knew, bro. That's how you knew they were BFFs.
I didn't know that you could be engulfed in flames, draped in a flag, and you'll be good.
Dude, but I was like, that's genius.
But that flag was dipped in water when he was coming up.
I was wondering why he was doing that. I'm like, why are you dipping the flag that's slowing you down? Then he wrapped him up. I'm like, damn, science. Oh man. So yeah, I was laughing at that. There was a lot of memorable moments. One note that I wrote down, I said, man, I was pretty checked out on the story. And I think it was when they went to Ram's backstory as a child. I know it's important, but it really wasn't needed. I didn't really care for that part. So I wrote pretty checked out until they became Voltron.
Oh, dude.
And he broke Ram out of prison and had him
Dude.
on his shoulders the whole time. Dude, I was dying.
Dude, it was incredible.
I'm like, these guys, bro, they formed Voltron.
It's amazing. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I wrote they went full Goro in that scene. Blacking people, bro.
Dog, it was great, bro. Climbing, dog, they did everything. Climbing, swinging. It was incredible. All on his shoulders.
Everything. Yeah. It was amazing because it just worked, you know, like they pulled it off. Even those over the top, you know, like moments where anything actually scientific or realistic is just completely out the window. It still fit. It was just such an epic, you know. It was like a fable, and like it was so, it just all worked, man. Even that that Voltron of, I was like, when he just started running with him, like Lieutenant Dan on top on his shoulders.
Oh, man.
And man, it was good. Like I said, it's been a long, very long time, you know, and that, I think, it's both a testament to how good this movie is, but also like how far Hollywood has strayed from, you know, being able to do something like this, where, man, it really was like a joy and an excitement to see, you know, again, the storytelling, the filmmaking, and everything just so well done. And I made a note that, even, you know, I could see where you're coming from, as far as, you know, Mark, you saying that maybe that part was not necessary of Ram's backstory, although, you know, it fed a lot into his psyche of why, um you know, with his dad, and then the one bullet.
I agree.
It was actually really deep, man.
I know, that's what I said. It fit. It fit.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah, and how he was just like, they kept making that comparison between like the value of a human life, and the bullet. And oh, you have brought up the disclaimer. What grabbed my attention about the disclaimer, because I think there were two disclaimers, and the first one,
there's one.
oh well,
I paused it. I read every single word of that.
Yeah, me
It
too.
was long, guys. I gotta read this.
That was the longest disclaimer I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, because it was basically saying, like, we're not trying to offend anyone. They're like, there's no likeness, there's no comparison, anything, like, please, we don't want to offend anyone.
Cancel culture is real.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But then I could see why they did that, because, bro, they went hard at the British. I mean, they even had that slogan at the end that was like on fire, that said, you know, the sun never sets on the British Empire. Like, they were not being subtle about that. And
but at least they kissed him on the mouth about it.
And listen, I you know, don't necessarily want to make a political point unless it's about something in the movie, and that's why I think you could easily, I mean, it just grabbed my attention, right? How this is not an American film, this is an Indian film, and yet they were talking about the emphasis on guns, you know, and on weapons, and how, you know, when your oppressor has guns and has weapons, you know, the only way to defend yourself is not so much with clubs or the wooden rifles they were training with, or, you know, or any of that. It's like, you got to get yourself some guns too, you know, and that's power, and that's being able to defend yourself against someone that's invading. And so I thought, you know, because I don't know if that movie could get made here with that same message, or, you know, even if it wasn't a message, just with that same plot point of like the guns being such an important thing to to this tiny village and to this really entire people being able to fight back. Although it wasn't just the guns, because obviously Ram came to that realization that beam was the most powerful weapon, because of his heart, and his spirit. And that song, I mean, that was a beautiful, man, and powerful scene of him.
I know it was supposed to be, but I was laughing the whole time, man. When he was singing and that thing was shredding his skin, I was like, come on, man. What is this?
For sure. For sure.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. I just you said that, it made me laugh because I mean I get what they were doing, and he what he was trying to do, because they didn't have special powers, but that's just that's like the Bollywood, what I was expecting from a Bollywood movie. So that's why it didn't make me hate it, but it did make me laugh. I know it's supposed to be.
Oh, and I also loved in that last dance scene, because I was like, okay, the revolution has begun. They're gonna get rid of all the British people, so the dance scene is only Indian people. Oh no! Then there was Jenny, bro.
Jenny.
And I was like, all right, that's pretty awesome,
I think another reason why they had that disclaimer at the beginning is, again, like the two main characters, like, and a lot of these people, they were actually based on real historical figures who led the revolution against the British.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I guess right before the revolution started, like these two guys never met in real life, but like they disappeared. They went off the grid for like a year, and then when they returned, they started this revolution that helped lead to the independence of India. And this is just that fictional time right before they started the revolution. So I think they're very revered in India, like these two guys and some of the other characters. So that's why, not just the British, but they're like, hey, we're not trying to offend anyone. This is a completely fictional story. We're going to have them do things, that they didn't really do. And we know that, but it's just a fun story and we don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's really interesting. I did kind of sense that at the end when they were singing the song, and clearly there was
those pictures coming up.
Yeah, tributes to like real people. I just had no idea who any of those people were. I kept looking for Gandhi.
It basically kept showing like the real people they portrayed.
Oh, okay, cool. That's really interesting.
I did my research. Oh, and another thing I wanted to tell you, since we were just rolling, the reason the voices seemed a little different off is because while they did film it, they did all the voice recording like from their homes, like the voiceover, and the actors like did it in 4 different languages. Apparently, India doesn't have one, so I don't know which ones we saw. They did it in Telugu, Tamil, Hindi, and
that's a good question. I'm wondering which one Netflix has.
Yes, I don't know which one, so that's why it may have not matched up perfectly.
Fair enough.
Hindi's the one that I knew that I couldn't think of, but that's All right, Kevin. What else you got, man? What else did you tell us? Something else that you really loved about the movie.
Let me see. I think well, one thing before we go to love, like there was a little knock, and again, it's not a big knock. I think Marc said it too. Like that flashback scene, if it did flesh him out, I kind of wish it didn't flesh him out that way. I kind of wish he had been like a cop who was just like very determined because he was looked down on, and then like he's having a change of heart. But that was a small little part I want to touch on. But I guess it fleshed him out. It made him more human, and I was like, all right, wasn't what I thought it was, but again, not everything was, and it was still enjoyable. It's not even a knock on it. It was just like a little difference of opinion I would have had with it. Other than that, like I said, I think we matched up everything. I had a whole bunch of this reminded me of this, like that. But we mentioned the riot scene. Oh, the one part, because we talked about how the Ram was such a great actor. Like when they were doing their final showdown, like when they were fighting each other finally, and he's like, look at me, and he wouldn't look at him. I'm like, man, it was kind of heart-wrenching for me. I felt betrayed by him. I was like, come on, just look at the man if you're gonna fight him. Just look at the man if you're gonna fight him. And he's like, just put these on. I'm like, I think that was a really good aspect to that scene that we didn't talk about. But yeah. That's about it. I think that's everything I had. Y'all covered my notes.
I would, I think, again, for me, the the as daunting as it was to approach this movie, not knowing much about it, with a running time of 3 hours and 7 minutes, for me, I really connect with Marc, and understand where he's coming from as far as it being too long. Although after having seen it, I mean, there's nothing that I would cut. Like, for me, again, like I said, I didn't want it to end, and would have watched another hour.
More.
But I do feel like, because this is one that I would really want people to hear and, run out and watch this movie. But I think that the running time will still, prevent a good amount of people, unless they're real movie buffs and or really appreciate and value our opinions. I still think so that's my one knock on the running time, is that I think it will prevent most casual moviegoers from giving this movie a chance. I wouldn't have. I had to because of the podcast and having to review it, um, but that would have been a mistake on my part not to have given it a chance, because yeah, like I said, I will be rewatching this throughout my remaining years on this earth. I'll go back and watch it from time to time, because it was excellent. And there's just moments and scenes and things that I want to relive them. I want to view them again, because they were so enjoyable.
And again, I know we knocked the music a little bit, but I have the soundtrack loaded for my road trip in 2 weeks. Like, for overnight, when the girls are sleeping, I'm just gonna be jamming it.
Oh, did you knock the soundtrack, or just like the dancing?
Well, I guess it was just
Because I thought the music was great.
No,
well,
yeah,
I
it was.
guess.
I guess if they're dancing, I mean, they're dancing to music, so I can see how
Oh,
you think I'm knocking the music, but I guess, to be honest, I'm knocking the whole thing.
yeah,
The music was fine, but it was the dancing that bothered me. But they're a pair, so I guess you would have to say that.
yeah, dude. And I mean, we can't do the disservice of not mentioning about these actors. I mean, the all the things they have to do. I mean, like you said, Ram, not only is he probably the most handsome Indian man that I've ever seen, he's also ripped.
It
They
doesn't even
also
matter
fight.
Indian, just the most handsome man. Period.
Dude, they also fight, they act, they're in ridiculous shape, and they got to be like the best dancers in the
They
movie, where
dance,
there's
yeah.
hundreds of dancers. Like, it's ridiculous what these guys have to do. It's and
Yeah.
it's awesome to see. And I think um would love to see them in more stuff, getting opportunities to do. Although, I mean, I'm sure they're doing fine in India, so I don't necessarily think crossing over to Hollywood is what it used to be. That'd probably be a detriment in many ways.
Yeah.
But it is, again, even a fresh air to see. Kevin alluded to this at the beginning, to see a movie that is somewhat violent, epic, dealing with a bunch of different elements and whatnot, and still remain pretty conservative. And I don't just mean that, like, as far as politics. I mean, like, the women are not half naked. There's not a lot of swearing. Just things like it's still like pretty wholesome. Like, Kevin's gonna watch it with the girls. Like, if I was an 8-year-old, or I would love this movie. I mean, I loved action movies when I was a kid. So to know that there's a movie like this that, barring a little bit of blood, and a whip, with nails on it, that's ripping someone's flesh, off of their body. Apart from that, it's not like, there's no sex scenes, there's no nudity, there's no profanity. Like, it was that in and of itself for me is like a breath of fresh air. And it's like,
Yeah.
man, you can do it. You can have something that it satisfies, it's a popcorn flick, it's enjoyable, it's entertaining, and it also doesn't have to, in some ways, like feed the worst parts of our society, or our even our humanity.
Yeah.
And even the message that like Ram gets towards the end, he's like, I've been so motivated in my goal that I was willing to sacrifice everything for it, including like this my best friend. He's like, it's not worth it. He goes, it's not worth being so motivated that you give up everything just to achieve your goal. You could get your goal some other way. Like, I thought that scene with his uncle was very like it encapsulated the whole movie on how much like they grew, how much they cared about each other, and how much like both of them were willing to sacrifice everything just for what they started off as. But then to come with that realization, it's like, you know what? Some things are more important than, you have this goal, but sometimes life throws something else at you. I thought it was a really good message.
Dude, how about, did you guys, that when they had sort of like that final confrontation, when, Beam thought that Ram, was trying to kill Millie with the gun when he was running after her, but really, and then he had that spike and he slant, like, I thought he killed Ram.
The sound that they gave us sounded like he punctured flesh, or he punctured something that was meaty, that was juicy. So they kind of they gave us a false little sense there, because I was like, yo, he stabbed him, and then I see he was in the ground. I was like, oh, I was kind of let down there
when it happened, like, because I knew it was based on two real people. I'm like, I want to see how they heal this now. Like, I want to see what they put in that wound to heal what just happened here.
Bro, the first time Beam stabbed him, that was right in the heart. So I don't know how he survives that.
Little tiger claws.
Yeah, which is pretty bad. That was a nice little weapon. I was like, oh, if I'm gonna carry around some brass knuckles, I want them to be little claws like that, little prostitute claws.
Well, and what's so powerful again about that scene with the spike, at least, is that although that at that point Ram did just save Beam, and his whole perspective has changed. But from Beam's perspective, you could understand why he would want to kill him at that point, So it's like, that's why I was like, oh man, he just killed him. But then even the next shot though was the reveal was really awesome. And then even to the point of the friendship, because I think if you wanted to, I mean, you could make the knock that these guys practically became best friends, like from one moment to the next. But knowing their characters, and also like, I still felt like it was developed well, where like you could see them connecting and being sort of these kindred spirits. Also, there's similar traits that they have for heroism and bravery and courage, like, and to even the comical stuff, of Ram. I was curious, like, why Ram, was clearly so confident and kind of, could have been such a ladies' man, and yet was so reserved. You find out later he does have a little lady, all along, which is probably why, he's not killing it at that party. So yeah, even those lighter, funnier dynamics between the two of them, with the language gap and all of that stuff, like, it wasn't hard to buy that this was a genuine friendship, and like two people that didn't know they were missing from each other's lives their whole lives, basically.
Well, we've been friends for a pretty long time. I think you and Kevin have been friends even longer. And I think I can say this, speaking on Kevin's behalf. I don't think we've ever ridden on each other's shoulders. So the fact that we've never done that, we've never
Juan has been on my shoulders.
Oh, man. Okay, so I've never achieved that level of friendship with you two then.
Dude,
I apologize. You have achieved the Beam Ram status.
Dude, we can go viral with the R challenge and do a triple shoulder thing.
If we were the age we were at now, I think I would be all in on that.
That's true. We can do
But
it
my
with our
body
kid. We can
hurts
have our
thinking
kids do
about
it.
it. Fair enough. Well, no, that's off topic. Let me not get into that. Sorry. I was about to go into dad mode. Start talking about my kid.
That's all right. I'm okay with that. But yeah, I mean, I'll open it up for final thoughts, and then Kevin, you can start us off with your rating.
All right. My little final thought and rating. I'm gonna go a little off book with this. Again, everything we've discussed, it's a great movie. I'm gonna recommend it to everyone. They're gonna scoff at me when they see the time. I'm like, just watch it, and you won't want to finish it. I really did like want to see this with y'all because my family up in Orlando when I was up there, they were like, "Hey, you want to watch this with me?" Nope, I want to save it for the podcast. I want to watch it with them because I feel like it's gonna be great, and I'm glad I did. Glad I got to share this experience with y'all. Is it possible to give a movie a 4 out of a 3? I just want to know that.
I think, Kevin, you have proven from day one that you will break every barrier when it comes to our rating system.
Because I wish we went up to a 5, but like this movie was that good. Like again, none of the movies we've seen, and for a long time I haven't seen something where I'm like, girls, y'all gotta watch this movie. Like I just think it's gonna be so much fun to watch it with y'all,
Yeah.
and that's why for me it's a 4 out of a 3 because that's how much I loved it, and I will. It is. It's gonna be on. I'll probably watch it once a year, maybe a couple times a year with them. Like just have it on the background jaw. Like I loved everything about it. It was fun. It reminded me of, and this is a little bit different. Like when I used to watch wrestling a lot, and then I got bored with WWE, and I started watching New Japan, and it was so different, but it still had a love of wrestling, so it made me start loving wrestling again. And this movie was just that. It was like it wasn't Hollywood. It was just fun, and I'm like, man, I just love this movie, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Well,
And I like what you said, Juan, that it reminded you of being a kid. Sorry for interrupting you, but it reminded you of being a kid just watching it, and that's what I did. I feel like it flew by. I was like, man, every aspect of it just reminded me of just being a kid with, watching this movie unfold in front of you. So sorry to interrupt. There you go.
Yeah, no, that was great. I was just gonna say that I think the 4 out of 3 works because it goes along with the movie where pretty much anything is possible in the movie. So I'm cool with that. For me, yeah, I mean, for all the reasons I said, especially, I mean, I think it's something for a movie to be this long and me still have such strong feelings to like want to watch it again and again, just relive that and those moments. And so yeah, definitely a 3 for me. Any knocks on it are only very, very minor and don't detract from everything good about it. So it's been a long time again since I've had this type of cinematic experience. So it was a sort of little death for me, and so it gives me hope. It gives me hope. Oh, Mark, you're really late on that, buddy.
No, I was just trying to hold it in.
But yeah, I mean, if you have if anyone, whether it's Kevin or anyone listening to this who wants to connect and recommend any other awesome Tollywood movies, bring them, man, because I will not be closed-minded about that any further. It's turned me around. So for that I am grateful. Three little Jerrys on in our three little Jerry scale, or our little Jerry scale.
Well, Kevin, you had a premonition, and the fact that you scored it the way you did, make sure that Juan gets his perfect score because I had no intention on giving it a 3. I'm sorry, but it is 2 little Jerry's for me, and it really is because it's 3 hours long. For me, there was moments that felt just like just I was like through the mud. Okay, yeah, let's get this over with, you know. And I will never watch the movie again. There are scenes that I will think about that will bring me, you know, to maybe probably go to YouTube and look up. But it's hard for me to recommend this as well because it's just so long. Like if you say, "Hey, man, what's a good 3-hour movie?" Let's go right off the bat. Godfather 2, Return of the King, Once Upon a Time in America. I mean, those right there, you know. So just 3 hours is just so tough for me that like I can't do it again. I can't watch it again, and I will never watch it again. And that's not a knock on the movie. It really isn't. I agree with everything you guys said. It was enjoyable, but there were moments for me that just were. I just this could have been a 2-hour movie, 2:30 pushing, but yeah, just 3 hours is just too much, and that's unfortunately too little Jerry's for me. But hey, with Kevin's score, we're at a perfect rating, baby.
Unfortunately, it's got to be a 3 from each of us for it to be a perfect score. But
sorry, I thought we were going math side.
No. The only thing that does surprise me about your rating is that, I mean, I totally get where you're coming from. The only thing that surprises me is that, you know, you're a man that loves a good popcorn flick.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like, this is the ultimate popcorn flick. I mean, give me the 5-gallon size popcorn for these 3 hours and don't bother me. So that's the only thing. I thought maybe the fact that it is such a great popcorn flick would have overcome that length challenge for you, but it clearly didn't. That's okay.
There's never a movie that can obtain the popcorn movie status and be 3 hours long. I'm sorry, man.
The
Like,
Batman?
But not even the
no,
Avengers Endgame?
The Batman?
no, those aren't, because those aren't like, I've been forcing myself to go and watch the Batman again. And I haven't done it because I know how long it is. And it was great. It was great the first time around. And I really sat and went, man, that was long, but that didn't, it didn't, like, I didn't feel too long. But now that I know how long it is, I'm like really hesitant to go and do it again. I can't, bro. I've seen Godfather so many times. I've seen Lord of the Rings so many times. Lord of the Rings, I keep pushing my wife to, hey, let's do a Lord of the Rings night. You know, that's like 12 hours we'll never get back. And I'm like, I'm ready for it. You know, I know those aren't popcorn flicks, but to me they are. You know, but there's no 3-hour movie that could be a popcorn flick. This is a popcorn movie that just didn't know its boundaries, unfortunately.
There's a popcorn flick where you got to go to the field and pick the corn first. And
yeah, man.
So what is in your opinion like the optimal length for a definitive popcorn flick?
Oh, 2
an hour
hours.
30? 2
No,
hours.
I'll give you 2 hours. You have my full attention for 2 hours. If you're going 2:30, then you better be really good. You know, if you're going 3, I need, and I remember my 3-hour movies. I remember them, and I go back to them. I'm okay with them. This I know is 3 hours, and that's what's going to keep me away. It really is.
I got you.
But I will say to Juan, by the way, I did go down the Tollywood rabbit hole, and Roger Rabbit's Revenge was actually the second highest grossing film in India and the third. So I wanted to look at the first and second ones. So I do have a list of movies I want to check out, and I will let you know if they're worth watching.
Okay. Y'all could, you know what? Y'all could start another podcast doing Tollywood movies. Dude, you'll find an audience there quickly.
Dude,
don't ready for Tollywood.
Number one on my list would be whatever movie that the little superstar is in.
Man, I haven't seen that chain smoking SOB in forever.
I wish he made a cameo, bro. He could have made a cameo in there.
That would have been that would have given it the star that it desperately needed from me.
All right. Well, all is fair. I was trying to go back to Instagram real quick because I'm pretty sure Marc rated Death on the Nile higher than this. That
did.
is just flabbergasting to me. But hey,
I would watch Death on the Nile again.
This movie didn't even get a 2 point anything. He just 2.
yeah.
I don't do the points. I try to keep it, I try to keep it even Steven, One of us has to be, follow the rules.
You did a 1.99999 for something.
You did.
I said most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
All
right.
I have to look that up.
Well,
it's not. Listen, it really. Man, the movie was good. It had a lot of enjoyable, even memorable things. The story is whatever. It's been done before. Yeah. Okay. Sure. And that's not a knock either. But man, bro, that all of us. Well, not all of us. Me and you, like we took a big sigh when we saw the running time.
mm-hmm.
If we didn't have this podcast, I 100% guarantee you that me and you at least would have never watched this movie. And then Kevin would have had to have watched it and pleaded with us to watch it. And guess what? We still watched it because of the type of movie it was, A, and because of how it is, B. So that's why I really in that, and you can't tell me I'm wrong because I know I'm not wrong.
No. Like I said, I'm not knocking your rating at all.
Yeah. So I got a rate from the heart. I got to. I want to know which one I did 1.9 repeating.
Oh, okay. I found it. It is A Hidden Life is what Marc rated 1.9999999.
Yeah, you see, because that's another one.
Well, what did he rate Death
sure.
on the Nile? What did he rate Death on the Nile?
Death on the Nile was
sure.
a 3. A perfect score.
Hands down, baby. Knock on wood if you hear me. Come on.
Okay. Well, Kevin, I'm afraid the elusive perfect score continues to evade us, but we will keep on trying. Next up.
Wait, we've had a perfect, no?
No, yeah, yours.
You I think you've gotten. Yeah, I have not gotten a perfect score.
Gotcha.
So we still are.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
Are
sorry.
That, but
we've gotten. Did we get only one perfect score? I think we've gotten a couple of perfect scores, no, or just one.
The only one that I can remember for sure is the drinking one.
Yeah, another round. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the only one that I think.
Oh, because I'm the douche that gave the last duel a 2.75.
So
I was like, ooh.
Yeah, that's good because I would have had 2 under my belt. That's probably not good for my ego.
We will continue trying. One day it'll happen for us, Kevin.
One of these days.
One day. It's something to aim for.
Yeah, it's a reason to keep watching.
But Marc also has still water that he recommended.
I gave you both sides of the spectrum, baby.
Well, we will keep watching. We hope you will keep listening. This has been Marc, Kevin, and Juan talking about R. Hope that you will go out and watch it. And we will catch you next time. Later, haters.
Love you.
Nacho. Later.